All right, all right, all right. Hello, 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 everybody. How we doing today? We should be getting
Hello.
started in about 3 minutes. So while we get set up. Hey, look who we have here. Our special guest of honor has arrived.
Hey.
We're just getting started. I'm going to let me everyone is just joining the call, so we are gonna throw the spotlight on you.
I'm good. How are you?
Hold on. How you doing?
I'm doing fine. Sorry, I'm my friend's house. So how are you guys doing?
I'm doing great. I'm doing great. All right, give me 1 second. We're just getting started. We should be starting in about 2 minutes. I think everybody's just checking in. So we got a lot of people registered for this webinar.
Okay.
So it should be fun. So I am gonna introduce you to everyone before we get started. Let me I'm gonna share my screen. Let me go here, slideshow. And okay, perfect. All right, everybody, welcome to the webinar today, to the SmashUSMLE monthly IMG webinar. We've got a special guest of honor here today. She's amazing. One of the most interesting people in the world. And I am super excited to have her on the show today. You guys are gonna be here for an absolute treat. I'm telling you guys, like, she and I talked and I was so blown away by her story. And trust me, you want to stay to the end of this, and all your questions, she's going to try to answer as many questions as you have. Don't hold back. So we're going to start the webinar officially. I'm going to share her screen, just share a little bit about her, but I'm going to have her tell all her story so that you guys can learn and see that anything is possible. Okay. All right. So we're going in full gear right now. Welcome to our SmashUSMLE IMG Success webinar for today. We have a special guest of honor. Her name is Dr. Sherry Walls. And how did she do it? And she matched into internal medicine. But hey, there's a whole lot to unpack here. Now, before we begin, you guys know me, right? I'm a Christian. I'm a firm believer in God. And I tell you, anything is possible if, with a big capital if, you believe in God and yourself, right? You need those two factors to become successful at absolutely anything you want to do in life, all right? Now, who is Dr. Sherry? Our beloved Dr. Sherry Walls. She has a whole lot of story, but this is just kind of the highlights of some of the things she's done. So she used to work as a research assistant at the University of Tennessee Health Science, which is UTSC, in the neurology department, where she used to grow this beautiful little neurons from stem cells. All right, tough job, and she's gonna tell a little bit more about the behind the scenes. And she also she used to work as a medical scribe. Right, work, to transcribe medical documentation for doctors so that we have adequate documentations for patients. Also, she ended up going to medical school at the Ross University School of Medicine in Barbados now, and she finally matched as an internal medicine resident, which is our #1 choice, Piedmont Athens Regional Hospital in Georgia. Now, this is one of her favorite codes, which I absolutely love. All right. So one of our favorite professors and mentor is Dr. Quincy Moore. And she always told her, in life, some people take the elevators and some people have to take the stairs, but we all end up in the same destination. I absolutely love that quote. All right. And remember, your journey is not your journey. Your journey is your journey. And just because your road to your destination is not clear doesn't mean it's not possible. Without further ado, I want to welcome to the show Dr. Sherry Walls. Thank you so much for coming to our
Thank
webinar.
you.
How you doing?
Thanks so much. That was really cool. Super excited to be here. Thanks for the opportunity to come and speak with you guys. So I'm hoping that my story will help someone along their journey to do the same thing or even better than what I did. So yeah.
So we want to get to know you. How did you, tell us your background, where you from, where you went to high school, college, what was your journey? How did you be, I give them the sweet little highlights. We're going to go into the behind the scenes of how rugged the road was for you, the challenges. We want to hear it all. The stage is yours, Dr. Sherry.
Okay, so I'm a military brat. My father was in the Army, so I moved around a lot in the States. But what I claim as home is mainly Texas because that's where I spent the majority of my life. But I was born in Honolulu, then I moved to Colorado Springs, and then I moved to several cities in Texas, Arlington, Texas, Fort Worth, Texas, Houston, Texas, then a little bit in Detroit, Michigan, and then a little bit in Tennessee and Memphis, Tennessee. But what I call home is basically Texas because that's where I spent majority of my life. So the big question is like, why medicine? Why did I choose to do it? So as a kid, I always wanted to be a physician because when I was younger, I thought my pediatrician was the coolest person ever. So like even in his waiting room, he had like Pac-Man and Donkey Kong, and he had like in a little play area. So I thought that was cool. And he was super smart. And he explained things to me even as in elementary and middle school that I was able to understand. So I started from then, and then I was like, okay, I told my, as soon as I got in the car, I told my dad I want to be a doctor. And like as a kid, like you always say, oh, I want to be a firefighter or I want to be a police officer. But my dad's like, okay, sure. So he always goes back to that conversation that we had in the car when I was like in third or fourth grade. So from then, I basically aligned my steps to be in medicine. So one of the first books I actually bought at Barnes and Noble was The Human Body that I still have to this day. So I don't know what third or fourth grader buys a human body book. I mean, it was like kind of weird, but I still have that book to this day to just show me how far I've come. But I had that book, and then towards like middle school and then towards junior high, in high school area, I started to somewhat tell my trajectory to medicine. So whether that was volunteering as a candy striper, they don't call it candy stripers now, but I did a candy striper in Dallas, Texas at the Children's Hospital there. And basically what a candy striper was is that you just told people where to go. And you like help them keep the children calm while they're waiting to be seen by the doctor. So that's what I did for like 2 summers in a row. And I volunteered there. My dad dropped me off like every time. So I did that during like junior high school area. And then in high school, I decided that I wanted to go to Prairie View A&M. So in Houston, Texas. So basically they had these 2 summer programs that I did over the summer back to back, which was what they called a pre-college enrichment program. And it was for different aspects of it. So I was in the SCOPE program, and SCOPE program was for science and engineering. So basically what you did in the summer is that you would take like real classes that you would take in college that will get you in the pre-med area. So I did that. So I did that for 2 summers in a row. Then I finally got to college. And then when I got to college, I was a pre-med biology major and minor in chemistry. And then from that time, I did well in school. I did well, had a great GPA. And I started to be a tutor and a lab assistant for microbiology and general biology. But then we get to the MCAT, okay? So I was doing so great. I had all the volunteering experiences. I had the GPA and I had everything. I did summer medical dental education program at Case Western Reserve University, as well as I did that. And I was a part of an undergraduate medical academy that helped students try to get into med school, whether that's like giving you more volunteer opportunities, even paying for a Princeton or Kaplan review course for MCAT. So let's fast forward to when stuff started hitting the fan. So during college, there's this thing in the biology department where on the wall where it shows like everybody that gets accepted, they have like their little graduation picture, and then they have their acceptance letter of medical school. So I was like, oh, as soon as I get out of college, I'm going straight to medical school. I want my picture on there. I want my acceptance letter there. So I was like, okay, so I need to align myself and trying to get straight in. So then the big booger in the room is MCAT. So I took MCAT the first time. I did horrible. I honestly don't even remember what I got, but I know it was bad. And then I was like, okay, well, let me try again. So I tried again. And at that time, I was in the undergraduate medical academy, and they provided me with a Princeton review course. So being who I am, just thinking I could do all these things at the same time. So I was taking like 17 hours of classes, and for that was from like 8 to 3. And then from 3 to like 5:30, I worked as a tutor and lab assistant for basically all the biology courses from sophomore year to senior year. So I did that. And then by 5:30, I was driving down to downtown Houston, which was an hour away. So I drove to downtown Houston to go to the Princeton review course that started at 7. So I did that from 7 to 10 p.m. And then I drove back from 10 p.m. to 11 p.m. back to my college, which is like an hour outside of Houston. So I did that for like 3 or 4 months. And I was thinking that, I could do 17, 18 hours of courses a semester, still work part-time, and drive to downtown Houston by myself, with a colleague of mine, and I'll be fine. So I was like, okay, I'm going to take my MCAT like March of my junior year. So backstory, I've always had like really bad testing anxiety. It's something I've always had. I've always had issues with tests. So it went away because I had like people in my life, like elementary and junior high, that helped me with my testing anxiety. And it went away. But when I got back to MCAT, it just came back. And it came back the second day of my exam. So my family, they bought me a hotel right in downtown Houston, so I wouldn't have to drive an hour just to take my test. So they did that. They gave me off the entire day off work from school. And I go there and I start feeling super anxious. And I don't remember anything from that test. I just got to the end, and there's this little portion of the test that says, hey, do you want to keep the test or do you want to delete the test? So I had like an anxiety attack and I deleted the test. And then I got out the test and I was like, why did I delete the test? So then I had a whole like emotional outburst. Well, in my car, of course I did. But I was like, why did I delete the test? I got super anxious. So I spent the money for the test. My parents spent money on the hotel, everything, and I deleted the test. So then I was like, okay, this is becoming a problem. So then I was like, it's too late for me to take the MCAT again because I have to have all that stuff in, because every time you apply for something in medical school or whatever, it has to be a year before. So I had already missed it. So I was like, crap, I have to take a gap year, and I really don't want to take a gap year. And that took like a toll on me mentally, because while I was trying to, do what I said I was going to do, which was like go from college straight to med school, I was getting denial letters. They were like, hey, your GPA looks great, your volunteering looks great, your lab assistant, you're doing all this stuff, but your MCAT sucks. You should retake it. And I was like, I really don't want to retake it. So finally, I graduated from college. And then I went to another internship over the summer at UNC Medical School that was basically a recap of your first year of medical school in the summer. So the same professors that teach you and the same tests we took, and I did fine. I was like, you know what? I don't care. I'm going to still do this. So I was like, I talked to my parents. I was like, I literally don't need to work. I just need to study for the MCAT. So that quote unquote fall semester, I studied for MCAT, and I took it like in like the end of like around January the following year. And so I passed, I did better. And I was like, do I really want to wait a whole nother year to do the same thing when I could just go to Craven Medical School and get it over with? And then like before I graduated from college, my department head, Dr. Block, she actually went down to Ross and kind of planted a seed in my head from the last semester, like, hey, I think you should consider Ross if, things that don't work here in the US. And so I was like, okay. So I was thinking about it. And then I started working at neurology department, and then I worked as a scribe. So during the day from 8 to 5 p.m., I was growing neurons. And then from 7 p.m. to 7 a.m., I worked as an ER scribe. So I did that all day. So then the people who I was working for as a scribe, they went to St. George, they went to AUC, they went to Ross, they went to Yale, and they went to University of Mississippi. And I couldn't tell the difference in how they were managing patients or diagnosing patients. And so I was like, okay. So, and they were like, hey, you should do it. I've done it. It's a hard road, but just do it. And I was like, if you really, really want to do it, just go for it. And so I applied and I got it and I started. And then basically the rest is history from there. That's like the pre before all the other stuff in medical school.
Well, that was one amazing journey you had, going over that amount of stress to eventually get into medical school. Now, when you got into medical school, let's talk about what happened in medical school. Like, what were the first challenges when you got into medicine, when you finally got over the pre-med and now you're in the real deal? What was the first challenge you had?
Oh, I failed the test when I first got there, like completely bombed it. Like I failed the first test of med school and I was like, okay, like what am I supposed to do here? I flew all the way over here. I failed this test. I'm spending all of this money. Like I need to get my stuff together, because the way that I thought I studied in college could basically translate to medical school, and that did not work. So what Ross does is when you fail a test, they will put you together with what they call academic teaching and learning, which is like an advisor that puts you with a tutor. So I did that. In addition to that, I figured out that I wasn't a person to go to class. Like I don't absorb anything from class. I have to watch recordings over and over and over again on media site in order to have it. So I did the tutoring, which helped a lot. I watched media site and I figured out how I learned best. So I did that. And as well as I went to all the office hours for my professors, because people don't take advantage of it because nobody goes. So it was like another one-on-one tutoring that I took advantage of.
So now, was that helpful for you? Like after you implemented the tutoring and working one-on-one with your professors, like what was that shift for you? Like, did it help, or what did you notice?
So when I made the shift, I could tell that I was actually retaining and applying the material, and my scores were increasing. Like each and every test, but each and every semester, I still was going up, up and up. So it's just like the main thing with medical school is learning how you learn, because maybe somebody's flashcards works for them, but it may not work for you. Maybe them going to class may not work for you. So I had to figure out what worked for me. Because a lot of times you hear people, oh, I got 100 or I got a 95 on this and I barely studied, or I looked at this. Like, no. You need to figure out what works out for you. Because at the end of the day, your name is on the paper of that test and your name is going to be on your degree. So you have to figure out what works best for you. So that's what I did. I didn't really care what other people had to say.
Awesome. How did you transition when you got to, so explain to people who don't go to Caribbean schools, we have a lot of Caribbean students here, how does Rush structure their academics, and, like what's the challenge as an IMG once you go to Caribbean island that nobody talks about?
So I think the transition that's hard for people is being away from family. Is really hard, especially if they're like married and they have kids. For me, I came by myself. I didn't have any other responsibilities, and I was a military kid. So I was used to adapting to different environments. It was easy for me because as I did that all my life, I was born into that. So a lot of people had a really hard time with that. And I think that that the amount of people that are in your class can be a little daunting because it's like a lot of people compared to US medical schools. So I think that can become daunting, especially when when you start, there's a bigger class than what you end with. So I think it's multifactorial of why people leave. Some people are not, they have a hard time keeping up with the material because it is a lot of material in a short time space. But we use the same books, we use the same everything. So I don't think that part is the difference. But I think the location, as well as, trying to build a family if you have one, because it's not like I can go from, at the time, Dominica back home over a weekend. It takes me a whole day to go from Dominica back home. I have to stop in Miami or stop in Barbados, then go home. So that take a day, and then a day to come back. The weekend is gone. So it's not like you have time to like go back home and reset. So it was really to me, I think the transition is being there, being away from your family. But as long as you want it, I mean, there's nothing else that can really stop you. If you want it, you do what you have to do.
So let's talk about step one. Like, so most Caribbean schools, they take a lot of students, right?
Mm-hmm.
How did you adjust to the fear of possibly failing out, seeing a lot of people fail out in Ross?
So for me, like, I know a lot of Caribbean medical schools, they have that like comp, what they call comp, what is like a practice step one before you can actually take your real step one. So that was very daunting for me. And that's when the test anxiety and stuff came back all over again, because it was so much pressure to do well in this exam, because I didn't want to get kicked out and I didn't want to get start over. So basically, the first time I took it was pretty daunting, and I was exhausted because it was right after the end of the semester. Sometimes they make you take it like 2 days after, but they've changed a lot of that. And then I took it the second time, where I was moving back home and I thought I could handle it. I always think I've been doing so much and I can do stuff. I don't know why I do that. And then the third time I took it, I finally sat down and just studied and I passed. So after I did that, I was like, okay, let's get it started. Let's study for step one. And so when I studied for step one, it was a little bit different than the test that you take as a medical student. It was like literally like first aid just on steroids. I mean, like step one was was literally first aid on steroids. So that was hard for me. Like step one wasn't my greatest. I don't want to give my score, but my step one wasn't the greatest. But my step two, once I figured out how they like to test and how I need to study for those tests, with doing lots of questions and being able to pick out, oh, they want this pattern or they want this pattern. Like the best way to study for standardized tests is try to think like the person that's making the test, because they put things in the test that make you go towards certain diagnosis. So that's what I did for step 2 CK, and my score went up like 15, 20 points. So that's what I did. And the same thing for the shelves, because the shelves really help you in your third and fourth year. Basically, your shelf is after you finish a rotation, you take a test. And after you finish this rotation, you take a test. And all those shelves are basically from Prometric. They're from the people that make the test, versus a professor that, decide that they want to give you a question of something random. So I think the shelves really help you guide where you're going to go as far as like step 2 CK. So yeah.
So there's this big taboo out there, which is partially true, that if you get a low step one score, you can never match. How did you do that?
No, it's not true. I know people who failed step one and matched to pediatrics. I know people who have failed even US. I have friends that are in US medical school that failed step one and they still match. I know people in Caribbean medical schools that have failed and passed the next one, or they still match. It's all what you do with it, right? So if you know that you have a whoopsie or a red flag on your what's it called, application, there's other ways to increase. Like for me, my step one was not that great. It was below average. So I was like, okay, well, what else can I do? So I said, okay, every shelf exam, I'm going to ace it. I aced it. So I was like, okay, so that's going to help not only bring up my GPA, but it's also going to help me prepare for step 2 CK. Because if I'm studying really, really hard for these shelves, it's going to translate to my CK. So I was like, I'm going to, do, even if I'm not interested in pediatrics, which I'm not, or even though I'm not interested in surgery, which I'm not, I'm going to give 150% because there's something I can learn from somebody. In addition to that, that will translate to my scores. In addition to that, whatever they write on those evaluations, those programs see. So my evaluations were very detailed and they were long because I didn't care if I wasn't interested in it. I was going to give 150%. You say you want me here? Okay, I'm going to be here. You say you want me to lift this person's leg while you clean out their debridement from necrotizing fasciitis? I'm going to hold the leg. So I didn't care if I wasn't interested or not. I just made sure I could get any and everything out of it. And so I think because of that, I was able to gain a lot of people who wanted to write recommendations letter for me, and not just some little recommendation letter that they just put together. But because I spent a lot of time with them and I really worked hard, I had really, really strong recommendation letters. In addition to that, I had the what is it called? MSPEs that show on each thing. And I made sure that I studied for my shelves and I did research. I did 3 case reports that were accepted. So I literally maxed out on every and anything I could.
Wow, that's amazing. So because, you know, a lot of students, most people go on Reddit, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they go on student
Don't get on Reddit.
Maybe you want to touch a little bit about that as a medical student, because that's where we all get at the information. Right? We go to Reddit threads and we go to studentdoctor.net. How did you filter through the noise? Because, you know, let's be honest, there was so many that, I mean, you feel come through 2 or 3 times, right? Before you find out 2 or 3 times before you passed it, right? You know, your step 1 score wasn't that great. Went up, you know, good points on step 2 CK, right? And you worked so hard to boost your application. How did you filter out the noise? So
like for me, I stayed off of Student Doctor Net for a couple of years. I've gotten back on Reddit just to see what people are talking out, but I do not base my decisions off someone else. So my thing was, hey, I didn't really bet on myself before college, with meaning that I was like, okay, I'm just going to, you know, hopefully they'll take me. I didn't really think I was going to get accepted just to even Ross. So I didn't bet on myself then. But by the time I got in 3rd year, I said, okay, Sherry, what do you want to do? You want to do internal medicine? Is that what you really want to do? Or you want to do something else? So I said, okay, you want to do internal medicine, then do it. There's no backup plan. I didn't have, like, I know some people will say like, oh, I'm going to go into surgery, but I'm going to have a backup plan for emergency medicine or internal medicine. I didn't have a backup plan. It was either internal medicine or nothing. So my thing was, if you want it, you will go for it. If I don't match, I don't match, and then I will do it again next year. There was no ifs and buts about it. I just made a decision in my mind that I'm going to go for it, and that's it. I don't care what anybody has to say. I don't care what my advisor has to say. I don't care what anyone has to say. What I'm going to get is what I'm going to get. And if I don't get it, then that's on me. But I'm not going to not try because somebody else's opinion of me. That's just not how I operate. I operate based off me. Because say, for instance, I go into internal medicine and I say, oh, well, quote unquote, family medicine is easier to get into, but I don't want to do family medicine. So I'm going to spend 3 years being miserable. Like I'm not going to pay thousands of dollars in debt and then spend 3 years, still accumulating debt to pay off for something that I don't want to do. I'm not going to do it, point blank, period. So that's what I just made a decision and I just left it at that.
Love it. I love it. I love that mindset. So now let's talk about interviews. How many interviews did you get?
I got 17. 17? Yeah, I think 17.
Internal medicine interviews?
I only applied to internal medicine. So yeah.
Did you apply prelim?
No, because I knew that I didn't want to do this again. I only did categorical.
Awesome. Awesome. For those of you who don't know, can you explain to people who don't know, when they're applying to the match, there's like 2 options. Like as an IMG, you can apply categorical and you can also apply the prelim spot. Like explain it to them so they can know.
Okay, so basically categorical spot means that I think of C for contract. So categorical spot means you have a contract for 3 years and you'll be done with residency. Prelim spot means that you're only guaranteed for 1 year and you will have to go to the match process again. So the $4,000 and $5,000 or however much you spend on applying to programs, you'll have to do it again a year later. So some people will do prelim programs depending on their specialty. Like some, like dermatology, they will do a prelim in like internal medicine. Or if somebody really wants to go into surgery, they'll do a prelim in surgery to see if they can get a spot at that prelim spot or increase their chances of matching where they really want to go. But for me, I knew that I really wanted to do internal medicine, and I've been moving around all my life. Look, I'm not moving anymore. 3 years contract, that's it. So I wasn't going to be doing this over again.
So talk to us about the interview process. Did they bring up your low step 1 scores, like, and how did you sell yourself? Like, what do you, give us some of the highlights of the interview process that you went through, the stress. Maybe people don't understand it's stressful. And how did you sell yourself to these program directors for them to give you a chance?
So only one person asked me about, they're like, so what happened to your step 1 score? You did so much better on step 2. But literally only one person asked me that out of 17 interviews, and I interviewed with like 3 or 4 people per interview. So it was like maybe 1 out of like 50 people that asked me. He was just wondering like, he didn't say like, oh my gosh, like I don't want you in my program. He just wanted to know what I did differently as far as studying wise. So he was like, oh, that's really good. But he wasn't like chastising me because I got lowest step 1. So my thing is, when you're interviewing, they already know that you're smart. They already know that they want you, but it's all about your personality. Do you fit with their program or what they stand for? So for me, I was just being myself. I just was myself. I didn't like try to be someone else who I was not. And I also was trying to figure out if I fit with them. So the only way that you know that you're going to fit with them is being yourself. If you feel like that you have to up yourself or be super serious, then it's probably not the spot for you. So the way I did my interviews is I kind of like had an idea of, so with Ross, they do like practice interviews before you do your real interview. So I had like an idea of what I was going to say, but not like a robot where I was like, oh, hi, my name is Sherry. Da, 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 da. It was just like so I won't get tongue twisted. So I did it that way because they're always going to ask you like, tell me about yourself. Tell me about yourself. Everyone actually did that. They ask you like, what is your biggest challenges? So then you be forthcoming about it. If your biggest challenge was step 1, okay, tell me how you did on step 1. They already know your score, but tell me what you learned from that and what you can bring to the table. What was the lesson that you learned from that? Because people are going to want to know about your growth, not necessarily your downfall. Your downfall only becomes a downfall if you don't learn from it, right? So it's about what did you learn from that and what can you bring that to that table? So if you failed or you did not as what you wanted to do and you persistently still wanted to pursue medicine, that is a positive attribute that you can say and sell yourself on. So it's about how you play it. If you think that, oh, I'm not going to be good enough and I'm not going to do it, then you're not going to be good enough, because if you don't believe it, no one else is going to pay for you to be on a contract. You have to believe in yourself first, because if you can't sell yourself to yourself, how do you think you're going to sell yourself to someone else? So that's the way I think of it.
Oh my gosh, you just dropping bombs right now. Oh my God.
That's how I think of
this, guys. Oh, if you don't believe in yourself, nobody's going to believe you. You got to believe in the dream first before somebody else can even give you a chance to give you a contract. I like that. Categorical is contract. Now a lot of IMGs, it's another thing that, they always feel like, like everybody has some kind of imposter syndrome, right? And for those of you who don't know what imposter syndrome is, okay, I'm going to explain to you in English. It just simply means you feel like you're not good enough than what you really are. Right? Because we are all in ultra competitive specialties, which is medicine. And it's like you've had imposter syndrome since probably high school, and you got all A's and 1 B's, and you're like, you see, I told you I wasn't good enough. Like, I mean, because the other guy said he got all A's, right? You got 2 C's, and you got somebody got you got a 221 in step 1, and somebody got a 243. It's like, see, I told you I wasn't good enough, right? So, and a lot of people have imposter syndrome.
Mhm.
You know, like I had imposter syndrome at some point before I finally broke it, you know, and a
Mhm.
lot of people don't even know they're going through it. I am just in particular going through the match
Mhm.
having a worse imposter syndrome because you're like you have like 3 kids and the third kid is like the abandoned kid. Like, okay, the first kid got a nice car, a nice watch, and then they're like, oh, we forgot to get you the gift, right? Like, and IMGs have this imposter syndrome through the match where you just feel like, even no matter how well you do, you still feel like, well, they're gonna look at my MD doesn't weigh the same as somebody went to an MD school in the US or go to a DO school in the US.
Mhm.
Like, how did you overcome that challenge yourself mentally
Mhm.
and going through the match process?
So like for me, I obviously knew that there was like that thinking. I knew that, some people aren't going to take me because I'm USIMG. I knew that signing up to go. Like I already knew that. So the way that I applied was strategic. I didn't just apply any and everywhere. I applied to places that have people that are from either they have IMGs, whether that's US IMGs or foreign medical graduates. You can do that either by match a resident. They have IMGs like percentile. They have that. You can also use Frida that literally lists IMG friendly on there. So I did that. I looked at places that have people that look like me. And I also have people from like this nearly the same background. So I was and as well as the location, because I knew that I wanted to stay in Georgia because I was already in Atlanta. A lot of my friends from even college are in Atlanta. So I knew I wanted to stay in the vicinity of Georgia. Of course, I didn't apply to like 4 places. But as far as strategic, that's what I looked for. I looked at each and everybody's site, because even on their websites, they'll say, oh, this is Dr. So-and-so. They graduated from here. So they will tell you in a lot of their websites, like 95%, they will tell you where they graduated from. So if you see a whole bunch of males and all of them are from University of Mississippi, it does not mean that you don't apply there, because you could be the first IMG that have taken for years, but I would not spend all of my money on places that don't have people that are from where I am or look like me. So it's a waste of money. So you have to be strategic on where you are applying. That's all it is. And then once you find out where you're like, okay, I like this program because of this, and the other. So that's the way I did it. And then from there, I really didn't care. Are you either going to take me and you're going to help me, or you're not going to take me? So, and that's out of my control. You can only control what you're doing. So if you apply to the places and they say, hey, we don't want to take you, or hey, sorry, we're not going to give you a chance. Okay, fine. Then somebody else will give me a chance where I want to go. So that's just the idea, or my thought process. It was either I am or nothing, or you're either going to take me or you're not going to take me, and I'm going to try again next year. That's just how I thought about it.
Oh, Dr. Sherry, you are amazing. Listen, guys, I hope you guys are taking notes, because I myself, I'm learning so much. So we're going to open the panel and have you guys, if you want to ask questions, just raise your hand so that I can see, those people who want to ask questions. Because the reason I wanted this meeting so that, you can turn on your video also, all right, is that raise your hand. You can actually ask questions rather than the webinar where you're quiet and you can ask questions directly. This is your chance, guys. She's a resident. She is in residency. That's where you want to be. You don't get to meet people every day. That's the challenge we all have as IMGs, right? You feel lonely by yourself at home. There's no one to talk to. You're talking to some random strangers on the internet that's bragging. They won't get on the phone to talk to you to actually really explain the process, right? So if you want to ask some questions, just raise your hands. There's a little raise your hands button on Zoom. Just click on that, right? The raise your hands, and I'll just call you, and then you can unmute yourself and just ask any questions that you want directly from Dr. Sherry. Okay. So so Joseph is first. All right. We don't have a lot of time, so please, if you want to ask questions, just raise your hands right now. So Joseph, go ahead.
Yes, I would like to ask, what did you actually use to study the comp? Did you actually use SmashUSMLE, or did you use something else?
So I knew about SmashUSMLE, but Ross had already provided me with was it USMLE RX 360. They had already provided students with it, so I had just went with what I already had.
Is that helpful, Joseph? Are you a Caribbean
Yes, thank
student?
you.
Do you go to Caribbean Medical School? Joseph, I think he just unmuted himself. Okay. All right. So let's also talk about and I'm gonna, whoever wants to ask another question, just raise your hand. So from Dr. Sherry Wajid, we still have her here. Okay. Now, Tamir, go ahead. Unmute yourself.
Hi, thank you so much for your time today. My question to you is, when you saw an improvement in doing questions for the boards, was it more of learning the strategy on how to do the question, or was it more upping your knowledge? Like, what do you feel that helped you more? And did you do it with the tutors, or how did you do it?
So what I did was in the first 2 years of med school, I did a lot of like pre-tests in USMLE RX 360. And then I also did in step 1 or step 2, step 1, I started using USMLE RX 360. So basically can you guys still hear me? That's the air. Okay, so with the USMLE, so what I did was I was able to apply from the questions. They're going to tell you, hey, this is what we were looking for. This is the reason why this question wasn't right. This wasn't the reason that this question wasn't right. So I would learn what were they looking for and being able to apply that knowledge. So I actually made a whole Google document I separated by system base. And so say for instance, if it was cardiac tamponade, so I put cardiac tamponade, and any question that I had about cardiac tamponade, I put key facts about it. So like, okay, this is, so it's like a little bit of learning how the strategy, but mainly how to apply what you already know to the question. Because you can do strategies all day, but if you cannot apply to the question, it will not help. So I think applying the knowledge is really where the money is.
What about if you have a weak knowledge? Like if your knowledge is weak.
So that's how knowledge is valuable, right? So the thing that you can do is read more. I mean, even in residency, I still have to read. Medicine does not just come to your head. Like no one knows everything. They have to read it all the time. They have to listen to podcasts. They have to read sources. Medicine is forever changing. On New England Journal of Medicine, they have like 3 or 4 magazines that come every month that I have that are new stuff. So it's constantly something that you have to read. And if you feel that your knowledge is lacking, which that goes through everybody, even in residency, like you think you know something, you don't know that stuff. You don't know how to manage that correctly. Like I'm still having to learn stuff. So you figure out what your weaknesses are. And then based off that, whether that's by taking a practice exam and they say, hey, you're not doing that well in this area, this area, this area, but hey, these are the things that you can do on, then read about it, do more questions about that area. So you have to use what you don't know so you can be stronger. Because if you already know the other stuff, why are you going to spend 20 hours on something that you already know? Spend the time that you don't know on something. Yes, it's uncomfortable. Yes, you still may have to look at it 3 or 4 times, but you're not going to learn it if you don't read it.
That's absolutely gold right there, guys. You know, that's what I talked to you guys about in the program, right? We only work on your weaknesses. Stop wasting time on your strength. Just because you love endocrine and that's your bread and butter, forget about it. You already know it, right? And you hate biostatistics because you don't want to learn number needed to treat, and you don't want to calculate sensitivity and specificity, or that biochemical pathway, like the hypothalamic pituitary axis with aldosterone and cortisol and androgens. And you know, you keep seeing 21 hydroxylase on the exam, and you're always like, yeah, take your time to master it. Right? You don't like the exophosphate shunt pathway. Nobody cares that you don't like it. All right. Nobody's giving the examiner actually loves it. Like, I know she hates this pathway, so I'm gonna throw in that, what happens when somebody has 11 beta-hydroxylase deficiency. I'm gonna throw that in there, like that Batter syndrome and that, RTA, renal tubular acidosis that you cannot stand. What do you think me as the MBME question writer? I'm sitting in my house like, let me see how I can screw up these kids. I gotta find a better way to write this RTA. I think they're getting it too right. Maybe RTA type 2, that's what I'm gonna throw in. You don't think we don't think that? That's how we write the questions, right? So if you're weak on it, like you said, you gotta work on it. If you can't work on it, you don't get it, get a tutor. That's what we have here for you at Smash. Like, trust me, Dr. Sherry said she had to get tutoring, one-on-one with Professor. I think, let me ask you a quick question before how did you overcome your ego as a person who's very intelligent? Right, but all of us are smart. Like, you don't get to be in medicine. You
Right.
have to be a smart person. You went someone who was a straight A student in high school, maybe college, right? And you hit that MCAT wall, right? And then you got to med school. What literally was that? Tell everyone, what was that thing that told you, you know what, I need help and I'm gonna go find it?
So first, when I hit the first MCAT wall, I was like having an emotional breakdown. I had like a complete
about it.
breakdown. But I'm like gonna be honest about it because it wasn't like something that happened overnight. So for me, it was like, okay, I didn't do well like I thought I was gonna do, and I've been doing well in everything else. So it was like why am I not doing well on this? So I was like, okay, if I don't know, then I'm gonna find somebody who knows what they're doing so they can help me. Same thing with step one. One of my professors, I asked him, I said, hey, do you mind meeting with me after class for an hour and we go through UWorld questions? I did that. Even now in residency, I'm at my friend's house bothering him, going over stuff for cardiac tamponade. So I mean, if you don't know something, it's not about, oh, I don't know it. Oh, I mean, you're not gonna know everything. No one knows everything. You're gonna find some things that you're not gonna know, but you have to be willing to say, okay, I don't know it. Let me find somebody else who knows. Because if you don't know what you don't know and you're not willing to get help, how are you gonna learn it? So you have to first understand where are your weaknesses. And if your weaknesses are multiple things, then start little by little. You cannot skin a cat in one time. You have to do it little by little. So you have to just do it that way because residency is gonna be a whole nother thing. So
I love your sayings, man. You just throw that in there. You can't skin a cat all at once. Just
my dad tells me that all the time when I get frustrated. He's like, there's different ways, skin your cat, or you can't bite the alcohol. So he tells me all the time. So I get it from him.
So Dr. Sajida, go ahead.
Hi, Sherry. I just wanted to ask, I came on the live late, but what year of graduation were you when you had gotten matched? Were you fresh out of med school or did it take you a while?
I was fresh out of med school. So I matched in March and I graduated in May.
Okay, thank you.
Dr. Okols, I don't know if I'm saying your name right. Muzenzo, go ahead.
Yeah, it's Okols. Thank you, Dr. Sherwood, and thank you, Dr. Adesina, for putting this together. I have a quick question for you, Dr. Sherwood. What was your biggest challenges while doing questions, and how long did you take to actually prepare for step one?
So my biggest challenge was getting out of my own way. Because like when you start getting questions wrong, your feelings start to get hurt. Like, I'm not gonna lie, like your feelings are gonna get hurt. But you have to do something with that, right? So it's almost like not wallowing. So once you figure out, okay, hey, I don't know that as well as I thought it was gonna do, then you just learn it. And if it takes you an hour to go through a whole set of questions, that's fine. As long as you're learning from what your mistakes are. But if you just like, okay, well, I got it wrong, and you don't spend time, you're gonna make the same mistake. So that was like the biggest, like your pride is probably the biggest thing out of anything, because it's like, oh, And that's another thing I would say, stop talking to people, stop listening to people, do your own thing. Because medicine is always like, oh, I got 100 on this, or I got a this, or I got a 270 or whatever. Even if you can get a 270, I don't even know. Like, you're always trying to like compare yourself to other people, but you have to figure out what works best for you. And if you have to spend a little extra time doing something just because you get it, then spend the time, because if you get it, then you'll get the question right. So I would say that. And then for step one, oh Lord, I say for that for a while because of the comps. So for the comp, that was comp 1, comp 2, comp 3, and then step 1. Step 1, so that was like maybe 6 months. I honestly think for me, I say for me, keyword, for me was too long because I was starting to forget material. And I had to move back home and all that stuff. But for step 2, I said, look, I'm not taking this comp more than once. I passed it the first time and I studied for step 2 for 3 months and I was done. I wasn't gonna, because I knew that I was starting to forget things for step 1. So I was like, I'm gonna shrink it down and I'm gonna make sure for every shelf I ace. So when I get to comp, I'm gonna pass it, which I did, and I got to step 2 CK and passed it.
Dr. Tamir, you're next.
Okay. One more question. I think it scares a lot of us. Maybe, I don't know, I'm talking for myself, but it scares us to hear that you passed so fast. So maybe give us a background on what you were doing during year 3 and 4 so that we don't think you passed in 3 months, because then I think we're all gonna quit now and say, I can't do this, you know? Like,
no, don't quit because of me.
No, I'm just saying, like, maybe give us a background on what you were doing during year 3 and 4, because like I think a lot of us been studying for a while and are kind of stuck and looking for a way to, you know, get out sort of our position.
So for me was that I did what I did in between third and fourth year was that I used each shelf like a step exam. So that's how I studied it. So I maxed out on all MBMEs. So I did the UWorld for that portion, and I did all the MBMEs for that portion. So if it was 1,000, the only one there for 200, like 200 questions on PEDS, so I did all of those, and then I marked them so I could redo them. So I marked them and redo them. That's like a little trick for UWorld. But you just like mark them and then you redo them. Or what you could do is just click on the PEDS portion and then go through each test and be like, and cover the answer and be thinking like, okay, maybe this was the question, this was the answer. And then try to figure out why for A, this is the right answer and why. This is the wrong answer and why. And then when you get down to the bottom, see if your thinking matches what UWorld was saying. So I did that, which was different from step 1. In addition to that, I maxed out on all questions. So I did all the MBMEs, I did all the UWorlds, and then what else did I do? And I read like a book for each shelf. So for like pediatrics, I used the blueprints. For family, I used AAFP, which is the American Family Physicians. For surgery, I used, oh God, the surgery book that I used. I can't remember.
Is it like Surgical Secrets?
It wasn't Surgical Secrets. It was a blue book.
Oh, is it Pastano's Notes?
I used that, but there was also another book that I used. I can't remember. If I remember it, I will definitely put it in there.
There's blueprints for surgery too. So there's blueprints for surgery. There's Pastano's Notes and Kaplan books and stuff like that. Go ahead.
Yeah, I also put my Instagram so people, if we run out of time, there's my thing. But anyway, so that's what I did. And so basically each and every shelf I tried to master, even if I didn't care about it. So not that.
Could you say that again?
Sorry, Siri.
I'm happy.
So if I didn't like it, I still learned it. So I maxed out all the questions and then I read something supplemental that would help with whatever questions I was getting wrong. So I did that. And then when I got to comp, because I put so much effort at the beginning, it was easier for me to study for comp. But the thing was, COVID hit when I was taking my comp. So from February to May, I had nothing to do but study because COVID hit and we were trying to figure out like, oh, what are we gonna do? So I was like, okay, y'all want to figure out what y'all want to do? I'm gonna study for my comp exam so I can take it. I'm gonna use advantage of this time. So that's what I did. So I didn't just take it soon as third year ended. It took me until I finished third year like February. It took me the end of May. It took it like May 30th, May 31st. So I passed it the first time, but I didn't take it right away.
Awesome, awesome. Somebody asked this question. She said, I think it's Dr. Nora. Thank you for organizing the session. Quick question. Does the USMLE failed attempt 10 years, it goes to accounts? The answer is no. After 7 years, your USMLE score does not count anymore. So they cancel that. So you know, so a lot of people who take step, so 7 years, the cutoff, if you've taken step 1, and after that 7th year, you got to retake it again. So that score does not count. So just retake it if you have a 10-year gap. Let me see if anyone else has any more questions. Can you give us a little insight into residency? Just a little bit, first 6 months of residency, because you know, don't scare them, but you know, just tell them the reality, be honest.
So residency, so like my program director said, residency in the very beginning. So she showed us this graph like a couple of weeks ago about how the first year residency is. So it's like a graph that goes like this. So like the first time you're there, like, oh my gosh, I'm a doctor. Oh, I have a pager. Oh, so wonderful. Everything's so great. And so then you get to like towards like that's like the first 2 months, first 3 months. Okay, like this is kind of hard. And then you get to like the 6 months and it's like, oh, did I really sign up for this? Like people are paging me about patients that are dying and I have no idea what to do. Where's my senior? So I can call them and ask them what they want me to do because I have no idea. And so I'm at like, I'm getting over that bottom portion of 6 months. I'm slowly crawling my way out of it. But residency is hard. It's very challenging because you were the medical student and you would get like 1 or 2 patients depending on where you were, maybe 4 max. And you weren't really, unless it was like a sub-I, you were in control of that patient. But even within, you still had to, you couldn't order anything because your resident had to. But I mean, you didn't really have that. There was no safety net. So you are your safety net. So making that transition can become very daunting, but I think like around like the 6 month mark, you start thinking like, okay, I do actually know something. I didn't know this before. I can manage this. So let me put this order in and da, 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 da. But residency is a roller coaster. I think a lot of people don't talk about it because they're just like, oh, everybody's goal is just to get to residency, but no one's goal is to like talk about how to get out of residency. Residency is hard, but it's rewarding because you finally get to use your application of your knowledge to real life patients and you see the progress of those patients. And that's another reason why I went into internal medicine, because especially hospital medicine, because you see, okay, you think this patient has heart failure, you get cardiology on board if you think you need them, and then you treat them, and then they lose like 20 pounds, and then they're feeling much better. So you get the reward of helping with patients, but it doesn't mean that it is easy, because it's not easy. I'm not going to sugarcoat it for you. It's not easy. Some days you're going to come home and just like fall asleep. You're not going to do anything. You're just going to take a shower and go to sleep. And some days you're going to be like, okay, this is not that bad. So it's just like whatever you take from it. Some days are better than others, but it is what it is. It's all about the learning process, really. There's going to be challenges wherever you go in life. It doesn't matter. Even when you're attending, there's going to be something else, like the politics of hospitals, like you should order this or you should order this. There's always going to be something. So, you know, that's just what it is. That's how medicine is.
All right, let's just final question. We value your time. We know you're very busy. You're an intern, and I know how valuable your time is. So Michelle asked, like, for internal medicine applicants who can't find a categorical spot through the match or the SOAP, is it better to take a IM prelim spot or do something else for the next year while reapplying?
Let's see. IM and who can't find categorical spot through the match. So is it better to
She just wants to know, like, she did do IM prelim spot. Or just do something next year when they reapply, like.
So I think it's really up to you on what you want, because sometimes those prelim spots, like a lot of people in my residency that did prelim, because they didn't do categorical, they offered them a spot. So they did the IM prelim for transitional year, and they finished, and they'll be finishing this year and graduating. So there's a lot of people that get a job because they impressed the program director and they did it. So I'm like saying, so basically what I'm saying, it depends on you, because what you do with your year off, they're going to ask you, what did you do during that time? And it's easy to say, oh, I did a prelim and this, and I learned this, versus, oh, I didn't do that much. I kind of just waited to match. So it depends on what you do with the year. But I say, if you get a prelim spot in a specialty that you want, I say take it, because majority of the time, like some of the people that I know that are in transitional year, because they did so well, they didn't have to interview at the spot that they were in. They say, hey, if you want to stay here, we'll give you the spot. So it's about what's your end goal. Is that the specialty that you want? Okay, then, because if you, like for you, like you have to think about it. Are they going to pick somebody random that they don't know? Okay, yeah, they have scores, but they don't know them. They don't really know their personality for 30 minutes to 4 hours for an interview. They know you. They've known you for a year. They know what you can do. So would you rather pick somebody that you don't know versus you already know this person? They're already in the program. They already know how everything works. It's an easy pick. So it depends on what your end goal is.
I totally agree. Except, let's say you get a prelim in surgery and you don't want to go to surgery, right? Then, you have the option. But I say, if you get a prelim spot as an IMG, take it.
Take it.
Just think about it. You're going to get paid $50,000 for the year, right? So that's extra money. You are right now looking for clinical rotation lots over the country you can't find, and it's very hard to get, blah, blah, blah.
Exactly.
You are now an intern, right?
Exactly.
You're getting experience for 1 year of internship.
Right.
I mean, you're working with the attendings. You get lots of recommendation from pretty much every specialty you rotate through. You work in ICU, you work on the floor, you work in ER, you work everywhere. You meet people, you network. You're working hard. You're impressing everyone. It's a no-brainer, right? When the deck is up against you, you don't cherry pick. You take that prelim spot and you blow them out of the water. You become the best intern they have ever seen in their life. It was one of the hardest year, but even if you don't match there, they're gonna write you letters of recognition. You're gonna take somewhere else, and they'll be like, "Yo, we had this guy for a year in this program. She was a badass. She the best residents we have, and we wish we can even keep her." You don't understand. It's all about relationships, guys.
And you don't know who they know. Medicine is small.
It's a
medicine
small
is small. It's very small.
Everybody knows everybody. Listen. If you guys don't know how this works, I'm gonna give you the insider information. All right. When you go to conferences, there's a meeting where all the program directors have to meet together. They have AAFP conference every year. They have ABIM conferences every year for internal medicine, right? The board and ASAP, right? The program directors of every program in the country have to meet in a room where they have to discuss plans of action. Guess what? We all know each other. We all know each other, right? So if their names, everybody recognizes everybody's names. So if I write you a letter of recommendation as a program director because you did a prelim year with me, when you go from Atlanta to you go to Tennessee or you go somewhere like in Florida, they know that program director because they all come to the same conferences every year, right? So guys, that's the dirty little secret for you guys when you apply this year, right? Apply categorical, but always have plan B. Because if plan A works, you don't have to worry about plan B, right? You just like, oh, I match, I got a contract, I'm done. Okay. So thank you so much, Dr. Sherry. You have been an absolute pot of gold. I can't thank you enough for doing this. For those of you who want to follow on Instagram, she just put her Instagram handle at Dr. My name is Sherry. I love it. She just has all this unique little things like she just does. And you are amazing. Thank you so much for doing this. I know you're going to be an amazing doctor. Residency is going to go by so fast. The days are long, but the years go by fast. And I thank you for the bottom of my heart. Guys, can we just give her a shout out? Say thank you, please, for coming to spend 1 hour of her time. She could be doing anything else, and she chose to do this with us. Thank you so much. Oh, I think we just lost her. So I'm gonna have her give us a final word before she heads out, because I know she's busy. Let me get you back in, Dr. Sherry. I think we lost.
Oh, sorry, you guys. My internet just went out, so I had to go on my phone.
That's okay.
Sorry about
That's
that.
okay. So can you just give us your partner words of wisdom? What would you like to tell us?
So mine is this. Your journey is your journey. And don't listen to what other people say. Do what works for you.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Right. And that favorite saying of yours that you said earlier with Dr. Moore,
Yes.
I want you to tell everyone.
So in some, oh wait, I'm logged in on twice. Oh my gosh, sorry. So some people have to take the elevators and some people get to take the stairs, but you get to the same destination. That's one of my all-time favorite quotes.
I love it. I love it. Oh gosh. Thank you so much. Hey, listen, I'm going to reach out to you. And thank you for coming out today. God bless you. And I can't wait for you to be an amazing hospitalist in the ERM doc. And maybe we'll get to work together someday. And I call you, hey, listen, Dr. Sherry, I have an admission.
If you can steal me from Houston, I've been in Atlanta. So.
Hey, Houston is home. You got to come back home.
I know.
All right. Thanks so much for coming. Have a good one. Okay. You guys just stay because I'm going to drop you some extra nuggets today. Thank you so much for coming, Dr. Sherry. You can go.
Thank you. Bye, you guys.
That's the Luegos. Oh my gosh, guys. Isn't that amazing? This is what makes SmashUSMLE just different, right? You guys don't know, I actually scout the entire internet to go find these residents. Like, it's work for me to go out there and find someone, take them out of their personal schedule, book a time with them. We go through so much work to find this IM residents and doctors to come and talk to you. So I hope you guys really, truly appreciate this. For those of you who come to the webinar today, I want to say thank you for coming, but, I'm going to give you a couple of quick updates. And if you guys want to ask me a question directly during this live session, just unmute you, raise your hands. I'll see you, and then I'll call you out if you want to ask me direct questions. The second thing is that you guys know past step one is official pass fail. We had 2 people pass step 1 just this last week. I'm going to make the announcement in the WhatsApp group tonight or tomorrow. It's amazing. They did well. And number 2, the MBMEs, right, have changed. And for those of you in the program, you guys always get those live updates. And those of you not in the program, you are truly missing out. Absolutely. This is what we do. Now, I believe it's on the 26th, they're rolling this out. So your MBME is no longer going to have that 3-digit score that you always see, right? So they're making a big change to that. For those of you who have not checked it out, I'm going to drop the link for you guys for the self-assessment, for the updates, so that you guys can go to the MBME website. The MBME website is amazing. It's literally where, all the news and the latest things. I just go there and read it. My tutors, actually, Jeet actually sent me this. So I got to give him thanks for giving me the updates. He actually sent this to me, so I posted it into the groups because he gives me a lot of updates also. So for you guys who are taking step 1 this year, know that you have to score about a 70% and up. So they're using a percentage now. I want to see if I can pull up the new report so you guys can see here. Give me a second here. Okay, let me see if I can find the score report. I'll show you guys during this meeting. And if I can't, I'll post it in the group again for you guys to see. I did share the link with you guys. But for sure, you want to get 70% or more, and it's not going to show a score report like they said. Another thing they also made, I'm going to make actually a video, which I'm going to post specifically for this on the website, on our website, on SmashUSMLE.com for you guys, because the old videos won't work anymore because the score reports is still valid till now. So that's why we haven't changed it. But my plan is to create a new set of videos for you guys to show you how to use the new score reporting for your MBMEs. For those of you who weren't here earlier, I'm going to kind of summarize some of the things that Dr. Sherry talked about. She talked about how she overcame test anxiety by getting help, right? A lot of us have test anxiety. This is a nerve-wracking exam, right? I mean, you're not going to take this exam without having any kind of anxiety. I was nervous. I was scared. Like I freaked out. Like there were days where I was tired when I was studying for step one. There were days where like I didn't want to even study anymore. There were days where I was depressed. There were days like, I always tell this story where during the summer I'm studying for step one and it's hot in my apartment because the AC is always leaking. It's an old apartment. And I'm sitting there, I had burnt out myself because I was doing 12 hours a day. And I think I didn't even take a whole day off, which I should be. And I was trying to go through that marathon. Like I've been studying all year through second year of medical school. And when I got to that 6 weeks block, I was pushing myself so hard to get through my first aid and doing UWorld questions and, studying. And I hit a wall and I didn't even realize it. And I was exercising, like, I work out in the morning, work out in the evening, eat good food, fresh water. But at some point you're going to get tired, right? And that's normal. And I remember looking outside, I saw a bunch of kids playing in the daycare and I'm sweating. I'm on Facebook. I see my friends at the beach. Everybody's having a good time. And I said, why am I doing this? Like, this is ridiculous. Like, I don't even want to do this anymore. I hate my life. Like, I hated everything inside of me. I said, this is not even worth it, right? I was saying that to myself in my apartment, right? And then after a while, I went outside for a walk because I just couldn't take it anymore. I didn't want to read a book. I don't want to look at any pathways. My head was spinning. I was getting headaches. So I took a walk and I'm walking and I saw all these people walking on the street. And I said, wait a minute. You mean to tell me that you don't want to learn this information and you want to save these people's lives someday? You're telling me that all these people that look healthy right now are going to walk into the hospital and you are not going to be ready to take care of them. And then I had a new, I don't know if that's the right word, reinvigoration of my spirit, where like I said, I found a why for what I was doing it. And then I also said, why was I even doing this in the first place? Because I'm like, I thought I signed up for medicine. I knew it was going to be hard, but nobody told me how hard it was going to be. And the voice in my head says, son, you're going to be the first doctor in your family. You're going to let yourself down. You're going to let your family down. You're going to let everybody down. Plus, remember, they told you couldn't do this. Remember that dean of a medical school that sat you down and said, you're not going to make it. Remember the guy that said, you're not going to get an interview. Remember, and I started recollecting all the people who had said to me up until that point that I wasn't going to survive this. And you know what? I took a nap, took a break, and I got a new form of energy, right? There was nobody to motivate me. I used to go and watch a motivational video on YouTube because there was nobody to motivate. You guys get to see my motivational video today. I posted it in the WhatsApp group to get you guys going. There was nobody, right? It was just me. And then I realized that what I was learning was supposed to help somebody someday. And today I built a USMLE company, right? I burned that candle. I used to get questions wrong in UWorld. The first time I did UWorld question, I got a 20%. I said, oh my God, I'm the dumbest guy in the world. Like, oh my goodness, 20%? I've never gotten a 20% in my life. Right? It hurt my feelings. I felt depressed. I felt like I was stupid. I felt like, how can they write this question this way? Like, this is just which horrible question writer writes this kind of question in this format? Like, I didn't just try to screw me up. No, they were trying to change my mindset from being an average Joe to a doctor. And that transformation, like I always wear this chain around my neck, right? So these are the two most important women in my life. This chain was bought by my mom almost 15 years ago. Almost 12 years ago. She bought it from Zurich. And this pendant, this cross was bought by my wife. So I always say this is the two most important women in my life. This chain has never left my neck in 15 years, right? Because I carried them and I'm a Christian, right? Now, why am I saying that? Is because you have to have support in your life. You have to have people that help guide you through the process. It's not going to be easy, right? If it was easy, everybody could do it, right? But what I learned through the process is it changed me. When your neuronal pathway in your brain is going through a transformation, it's going to be painful. Okay. All right. And understand that is the price you have to pay to get the result that you want, right? So if you're going through test anxiety, for example, that means somebody needs to guide you. You're free. You see, anxiety is a symptom of an underlying problem, right? We don't get anxious about things we are certain about, right? If you want to go from your house to Walmart or something like that or CVS and you've driven that road multiple times, you don't get anxious. But if I take you to a completely new state you've never been to, right? You're scared. You're like, I don't know the neighborhood. I don't know if it's safe, right? So you put in a GPS, like you don't know anybody in the neighborhood. You're going to be anxious. This road is the same thing. There's a lot of unknowns in front of you. But the difference is I have been through that road. Dr. Sherry has been through that road. So I bring them back to tell you what the road feels like, right? To show you the ropes, teach you the advice. Don't fall into the pit holes that others have fallen into. And to me, USIMGs last year, 60% of them match. Non-USIMG, 55%. If you give me a 50% chance of doing something in life, I got a ton cost to make it, I take that bet. Like I will take that bet every single day because that means I got a 50% chance. If I fail the first time, I got to try again. Like, and that gives me another chance to try another 50%. Like that, you know, like a lot of times, oh, why isn't it 100%? Like, why should it be 100%? The competition is insane. Okay. Now, so if you're not taking MBMEs, guys, you're doing yourself a disservice, right? Now, for those of you who are in the webinar today, and I'm sure you've seen my emails, you've seen my ads, and you are, you know, and I'm going to open the floor for those of you guys who want to ask me a question at the end, right? You know, like you guys probably don't understand, you know, to meet with me one-on-one is $500 an hour. So if you're getting to ask me a question for free, like I'm doing this as a favor for you guys, right? Now, you know, I want to share with you guys, for those of you who have not invested in the course, are you ready to invest in this program? Because I'm telling you, this is not your average program like you guys see on the internet, right? If you're ready to pass a USMLE and MAC this year, I want you to share some of the testimonials that we've had in this program. It's been amazing. Like we get so many testimonials every month. I got to keep up with posting them in the group, okay? So just hear some of them, okay?
Nigerian. I went to medical school in Ukraine. I think one of the biggest things I learned basically was how to take tests. I just saw a pass and I took a screenshot and sent it to my mom immediately. I was so happy because this has finally happened and I passed with a score 236. And a lot of times as international medical graduates, we just need that extra help. That is the big bulk of what SmashUSMLE would do. It would literally give us that extra help we need.
I was working in ICU and trying to study at the same time. And I'm like, you know what? I need a little bit of help with this. So watch the videos to try and shore up my NUM. Scored a 233 on CK, which I don't think I would have gotten without some of the videos. I matched at Louisiana State University in their combined internal medicine, emergency medicine program.
Because I failed my boards the first time around. You know, I was feeling so down after failing. Instead of being down about it, I decided to get a coach, hence SmashUSMLE. And I came back with a better study strategy, a better plan. I went from a 194 to a 225. I ended up getting a 229 on step 2. Honestly, this program was worth every penny. This is your sign to do it. Join the program, get a tutor. They become a really good friend of yours. I'm really grateful to Dr. Adesina and my tutor, G, and for this program. Dr. Adesina has been there every step of the way. He encouraged me like the day of my test. For step 1 and even step 2 and during interview season. And he was one of the first ones to congratulate me when I matched. And North Carolina was my top choice. So yeah, it was a great interview day and I'm really excited for the future.
Of course, my name is Peter Obutola. I finished from med school many years ago. And I joined the program and I've never for one day regretted joining that program. I'm telling you, the best out there. One of the things I love about the program is the fact that you have one-on-one with us. It's very good. I'm telling you, you cannot beat it. It's the best. That one alone is enough. Gets the fact that the masterclass, I attended the masterclass too, and I'm really grateful for that. And it was, you know, it was awesome. The masterclass condenses everything and it summarizes everything for you, you know. So I passed my USMLE. Thank you so much, SmashUSMLE. I passed.
So my name is Rashida Brimley. So I go to Avalon. I failed my USMLE. And so one of the things that I learned from Dr. Adesina is you do a really good job at making sure you really understand the concept exam. And I did pass my exam. So step 1, I scored 199. Step 2, I made 219. Here I am today. I matched into that very same program. I'm a doctor and I'll be starting residency on July 1. I'll be going to the University of Arkansas Medical Sciences in Pine Bluff.
All right, you guys can see this, right? We have a 97% pass rate at SmashUSMLE. You know, the 3% of people that don't pass, they're the one that refuse to listen to advice. I've been doing this for over 10 years, guys. My team, all of us, like we have wealth of knowledge to be able to help guide you, right? The reason why we have such a high pass rate It's not because it's just some kind of magic. Well, it's actually a secret blueprint that I teach you guys in the program, right? It's because we work with you until you hit your target score. That's it. And no other program out there will do that for you, right? You're going to go to BNB and all these other programs. You're just going to click a link, sign up, and good luck, right? How do you use the course? Like, how do I clear my schedule? Like, what am I supposed to study today? What, if I'm struggling, who do I reach out to? No one. Your world is amazing, QBank, but there's nobody to call. Right? There's no WhatsApp group for you to be able to say, I'm struggling with this question. And you got like 10 people responding to all your questions in just a couple of minutes. Now, listen, if you guys haven't seen our reviews, 70 plus, 4.9 stars. 111 reviews online, almost 95%, right? Listen, to get started is very simple, all right? We have a 4-week live hybrid masterclass with a self-paced course. Every month we have a masterclass, a live hybrid masterclass course. You come to see me online and then you can ask questions to our moderators, right? It's just only $2,597 for the course for the combined program. It is worth every single penny. This is an investment into your education, all right? If you get the live hybrid masterclass, it's only $1,597. You can get the self-paced course for step 1, step 2, CK, step 3, $1,597. And we also have tutoring, right? If you have test anxiety, you're struggling, we have tutors. Our tutors have crushed the USMLE. One of our tutors got a 266 on step 2 CK, right? They have gone through what you're going through. They will help you. They will teach you. So many students right now are using tutoring in the program, and they're seeing amazing results. We just had a doctor that's been in our program. She's been using so much tutoring. She just passed literally last week. I'm going to post her story in the group, right? Because it works, right? The way I always explain to this, right? You're going to lose time. And that's the most important currency you have, right? I went to med school, cost me about $300,000 to go to med school. That's the cost of a house. And I was broke, right? But I didn't say, how much is it going to cost? See, the problem with a lot of people in life is they haven't said, how much does it cost? How much does it cost? No. You're asking the wrong questions. How can this get me to the goal of where I need to be, right? If something is going to help you accelerate your progress and get you to the next destination, it's an investment, right? Why will you go to medical school and pay thousands of dollars? Because if they give you an MD degree, it's going to open doors for you and be a doctor. You don't say, how much does it cost? Or it's too expensive, I'm not going to go, right? You find the money, you find the investment, and you invest in the program. It's an investment because once you get it, and for some of you haven't joined the program yet, I don't know what you're still waiting for. Seriously, this is your sign. Right? You want to be part of the movement. We are the leading USMLE prep company in the world right now. And you are missing out if you haven't joined the program. That link right here, smashusmle.com/enroll. I got a lot of our students already here, and you can ask them. They know what you're going to get, right? You have me, you have my team. We are going to help you. You got to commit first, right? Once you commit, we will never let you down. I will never let you down. Every week, you can ask my students. I will post you a motivational video. I will give you updates, right? You get question of the day. You know how many people have, so I've talked to a lot of our students that passed. The question of the day has shown up on the actual USMLE. So many students are telling me, Dr. Adesina, did you know that 5 of those questions on our question of the day showed up on my exam? And I'm glad I was in the group because I literally saw the answer and I'm like, oh my God, this is word for word. And they were so happy. If you don't feel motivated to study, and you're like, oh, I don't feel like studying, we will get you there, okay? I promise you, okay? Now, for those of you who want to know how to sign up, it's really easy. I'm literally going to drop the link right here in the group for you guys who want to sign up. And then I'm going to open the panel up just a little bit for those of you who want to ask me direct questions, while we're still here before we wrap up this webinar today.
Improvise.
So now, here's the link. And for those of you who want to sign up right now, we have March class coming up. We're going to be starting. We're already almost done with February class. We're kind of wrapping it up. So if you want to join the Match Master class, definitely. Anja says she wants to sign up. May I please get the link? Absolutely. So I just put the link for everyone. Actually, no, let me put it, make sure everybody gets that link. Okay. All right. So another beauty of being part of the program is that you can text me, any issues, right? Our customer service is always there to help you guys, guide you through the whole process. There's a lot of big things coming. Oh my gosh, I can't even tell you this. Okay, I'm going to tell you one thing, right? Tomorrow we have another webinar, right? I was able to get 2 people back to back just for you guys. You need to come tomorrow at 6 o'clock to join tomorrow's webinar. I can't tell you who it is, but I posted it into the WhatsApp group. I sent an email to everyone. So you should have got the email. If you haven't registered, register for tomorrow, because if you think Dr. Sherry's story is crazy and it was, how hard she went through, wait till you hear our speaker tomorrow. I can't tell you a whole lot. I wish I can tell you, but you know what? You show up tomorrow at 6 o'clock. I'll be here live on Zoom, and she's going to spill the beans. She's going to tell you even more and more stuff, right? I bring success story to you because you know what? In life, a lot of people fail, but you have to know the difference. Failing is not the same thing as failure. Just because you fail doesn't mean you're a failure. You have to fail in life to get results. You see, if you take the elevator upstairs, it looks like a smooth ride. But if you go up and down, you learn lessons along the way that there's no other way for you to learn that lesson, right? Don't be afraid of failing. When people join my program, I said, the program is not magic. It only works if you work. If you don't put 120%, guys, I'll give you a perfect example. So I went to work in the ER yesterday, and I worked 12 hours. So I drive 1 hour to work, 1 hour back. So I left the house at 6 o'clock, about 6:10. I got home about 8 o'clock. Talked to my wife, my kids, and then, they went to bed. What if I told you guys that when my family went to sleep, it was 10 p.m. I was actually working to record a lecture. All right. I can tell you more details. Record a lecture for another 1.5 hours after I have worked a 14-hour day. I could have thrown the towel and say, you know what? I'm tired. I don't want to do this. Like, you guys don't even understand the amount of work that I did. And I got 3 boys, by the way. My wife, 3 boys. And I work full-time in the ER. I work 12 to 13 days a month. And I'm doing this also full-time, running this company to help you guys. Like, my time is so limited. Like, I have to squeeze in seconds. Like, I study inside the car. I listen to podcasts in the car. I'm multitasking to try to get things done, right? Because we have customer service, staff and everything like that. But I don't give excuses. Excuses doesn't exist in my world. I literally recorded a lecture for another 1.5 hours and did some extra work for 2 additional hours. I think I went to bed at 1:30 a.m. Why am I sharing this story with you? You are going to be tired. You're going to be exhausted. But guess what? The time is going to pass anyway. Are you willing to sacrifice in the short term to get results that will help you for the rest of your life? Or are you just going to continue to say, you know what? I'm married. I got kids. And listen, everybody's got kids. Maybe not everybody. Everybody's got something that's going on. But one thing I know every year is that out of the 7,000 IMGs that apply every year, or 8,000, half of them get in. Half of them don't. The other half that don't, they try again the next year. So every year you procrastinate, every year you push back, right? You are just wasting time, right? But you can do it. I believe so much in you, but I need you to do me a favor. You need to believe in yourself. I want you to have that belief. See, you got to believe it here first before the world can believe you. I myself, like if you saw me 15 years ago, I was not like this, but you have to have a strong belief in God and yourself that I know the journey is hard, but I can't let myself down. I don't care how old I am. I'm 40 something. Who cares, right? Who cares about your age? Stop staying at your age and do something about it. Because guess what? Pandemic started 2 years ago and we're already 2.5 years into a pandemic. It's already February again, 2022. What are you going to do about it? All right? Even if it takes you 6 months, 8 months, a year to study. Listen, the average, let me be honest with you. The average time it takes an IMG to study for step 1 is 1 year. 6 months to 1 year. So if you're studying 6 months and you're getting tired, it's normal. Like, stop saying to yourself, oh my gosh, like, oh, this is too long. 6 months to 1 year is a normal process. Because when you take step 2 CK, it's going to take you less. Because step 1 is the hardest. Okay, guys? So do me a favor. Just honestly, be consistent. I would rather study 1 hour or 2 hours effective study in a day than not do anything. I would rather study an additional 3 hours a day, right, for 3 or 4 days consistently for the next 6 months, than take time off and study for 1 hour today and then take 2 months off. And you already forgot what you learned. Consistency, dedication is the name of the game. And let me tell you the truth. The time is gonna pass anyway. I'm telling you, the time is gonna pass. You're gonna blink. It's gonna be 2023. It's gonna be 2024. Right? So how bad do you want this? Is the question. You see, The people out there that's going to give you a chance are waiting for you. They want to see whether you are ready for this moment, right? You work so hard just for one program director to say, yes, I'm going to give you a contract. That's it. That's what you guys are working for. But it's doable. It's possible. I've seen it over and over. Dr. Sherry, so many people have come on this show. They have done it. And I'm telling you, if I believe it, you got to believe it also. Okay, so those of you who want to sign up for the program, there's the link. If you want to sign up for tutoring, listen, we got so many world-class tutors in the program. They have literally transformed so many people's lives. The way I want you to think about it is it's an investment in your education. Like when I was younger, my father sent me to this extracurricular lesson. It was 11 grand. And I remember coming home, the guy gave me the receipt and I was like, sir, why is it 11,000? I'm paying 250. It's Naira in Nigeria, 250 bucks in my school. And why is your lesson for 3 months, 11 grand? And I went to my father and I gave him the bill. And I said, Dad, before I give you this bill, I just want to let you know, I'm not going to that lesson. Now, this is me because I'm struggling in high school. And he saw that I was struggling in math, physics, chemistry, whatever. And he said, I don't know, you're not learning anything in school. I got to send you. And I remember when I went to my father, I said, Daddy, don't even stress yourself. We don't have the money. I know you don't have the money. And I don't want you to spend that money to send me some 3 months class, right? 3 months. This guy wants to charge us like, I think it's a year, maybe a year, 3 months, a year, whatever. And he wants us to pay 11 grand. And I literally begged my dad, I said, please don't pay that money. I was wrong. You know what he said? He said, son, if you think education is expensive, try ignorance. That lesson transformed my life. I went to that lesson the first day of lesson. I was in 11th grade, for those of you guys, you might not have enough to put in American, like 11th, 12th grade. And I learned the mechanism of urine formation in 30 minutes. The stuff that you guys are learning for step one. This guy broke down how the renal, that's the first time I heard about the glomerulus and the filtration rates and the renal tubules and the leukophilin when I was in high school. And this professor simplified it in 30 minutes. My mind was blown away. I'm like, that's how we make urine? He's like, yeah, there's all this, sodium and potassium, and he's talking about all these things. I learned this stuff when I was in high school. Then I knew the difference of what my father was saying. I understood that he knew the quality of the education I was going to get. My grades went from the bottom to the top in 1 year, right? I was talking to the professors, the teachers were teaching me, they were, explaining to me. I go back to high school and I'm getting A's and B's, and I was like, wow, you put an investment out of this. That's what Smash is, right? When you come to my master class, when you listen to my lectures, you are going to wonder why in the world your professor in medical school never explained it this way, right? I am going to blow you away. And I promise you, I will make it worth your time. I promise you will be the best investment. I'm with you all the way. You got my word on that. I will support you all the way till you get there, because I know that when you become a success, you're going to tell everybody else. Now, for those of you who don't know about affiliate program, we have an affiliate program, guys, right? This is how you sign up, right? I want you guys to go sign up for affiliate program and refer your friends to SmashUSMLE. You simply just go to smashusmle.com, all right? And I'll just drop it right here. Let me see. And all you do is, you see this little link? Is refer your friend and earn $100. I promise you, I will give you $100 for every single friend that you refer to the program, okay? You click that link and it says right there, refer your friends and win $100, right? You can connect with your Facebook, it's easy, Google, Twitter account, or you just put your name, email, and your phone number, and you start. That's it, that's all you do. It's gonna give you a link. After that, and let's say, that's me, right? Let's try that, maybe 856. Right, you put your number, you say start, and then you just grab your link. You can grab a WhatsApp link, right? You can grab, your email. You can tweet it. You can share it on Facebook. For those of you in Caribbean medical schools, we're looking for ambassadors for our program who would like to share SmashUSMLE with your campus. We actually do a live training session for USMLE prep for Caribbean students. If you are one of the Caribbean students, reach out to me. I'm going to drop my personal email. If you'd like to be an ambassador for Smash, you get paid $100 for every student. So if everybody in your class sign up for the program, if there's 20 of them, you literally make $2,000 and we pay you directly for that, right? You share your link on Facebook and literally it's so easy. It doesn't even cost you anything. When your friends sign up, we get a notification. And when they do actually purchase the program, you are going to get paid $100. Every month we've sent a lot of people money actually during the program. Some people are just making free money on the side, just sending their friends to the program. So this is an opportunity for you for work from home, do nothing, and literally refer your friends. You can share it on Telegram, or your WhatsApp group, or Messenger. We have every possible social media. And literally, once your friends sign up, we get a notification that you're gonna get paid. All right. This is your own personal link. It's directly to your name and your email. So it actually goes directly to you guys. So make sure you sign up. I'm just gonna drop the link right here, smashusmle.com/refer. And for you guys, I think somebody has a question here. I just want to make sure I answer the question. Does anyone has any question for me directly? USMLE prep before we wrap up. Just raise your hands. I'm just gonna let you ask me a question before we leave. And tomorrow, like I said, we have another webinar that's going to happen, and so we can also share more stories of how we can become successful. Okay. All right, guys. If nobody has any questions, was this helpful? Do you guys want me to do this again? You guys want me to do this again? I just want to know. If you guys don't like it, we can stop it. But if you guys feel like you're getting a lot of value from these sessions, I would definitely keep working to bring you guys more speakers. That's my goal, so that we can continue to help you. Tamir, you want to ask me questions? Go ahead.
Yes, I'm not sure about this answer, but maybe you can help. I already went over my time to take the boards, and I have to reapply to my school. So far, the first time they said no, but I don't have the right score to convince them to take me back for another trial. So I don't know if I have to find another school and which school will accept me just to give me the opportunity to sit for the boards again. Or should I study, get a high score, and then present it to my old school and see if they'll take me back for another opportunity?
What are you studying for, comp, or are you studying for the USMLE?
No, CK.
So you already took step one?
I took step one, but it's very old. It's like past the 7 years. So.
Oh, I see. And then, so, okay, that's a little bit more complicated, because if it's been 7 years, that means you've left the school for 7 years for you to let your step one elapse, correct?
No, I took step one, and then it's been a couple of years altogether. Like, it took me a couple of years for step one. I passed it just barely, like a 194 at the time.
Okay.
And then for step two, I got my score higher up with some tutoring, but it still wasn't high enough to be able to take the exam.
You're talking about the MBMEs for step two CK, or?
Yeah, my school would give us practice MBMEs.
Right.
And the last one, my score was high, like 220, 230, but they took away the breaks. So it was just a 4-hour straight exam, and I wasn't, I had to take a few minute break between each block, and that wasn't able to get past. I think they needed like a 220 or 225 to give you the opportunity to take the real exam.
Right. Okay. So what options are they giving you now?
Nothing. I said either I have to find another school to give me the opportunity to take the exam, or I have to get my score up there and then present it to them and say, look, I'm scoring at 220, 230 now, whatever. Can I please, have the opportunity to sit down for the step again?
Are they giving that option though? Like, did they say, hey, listen, Tamir, we want you to go and retake your MBMEs, and your score is high enough, we give you a second chance to take the MBME, the CBSE at your school?
Yeah, no, they didn't give me that. That was my idea, to try to do that, or because I don't know what other school will take me to just give me the opportunity to sit for the boards. Like, what's in it for them?
Yeah, so I think you're in a kind of like the stuff between a rock and a hard place. You gotta go talk to your school face to face and say, hey, listen, am I out of your school completely? Because you need to know exactly where you are, right? Like, you can't be like, oh, maybe I'm sitting on the board, are they gonna take me? And you can convince them and say, tell the dean, listen, I'm gonna go work my butt off. I'm gonna go get a higher step 2 CK score, get tutoring, get help, and will you give me a second chance? Because that's all the ball down. If they give you a second chance, like if they even give you that remote slim, like, okay, we are willing to bend over backward one more time to let you take this to prove yourself, then you can continue with the school. If they say, no, this is over, we're not going to let you back in, you got to transfer to another Caribbean school that will kind of evaluate your results, kind of see your step one scores and things like that, and see where they want you to start, whether it's a second year or you have to take second year again. That's your decision point right now. That's what you got to do. So if I were you, I'll go meet the dean and say, listen, man, I know I screwed up. Always take responsibility, right? Never say, oh, something happened. Like, people in medicine, we don't care about your excuse. I'm telling you, I know it sounds bad, and everybody, like, I'll be sympathetic towards you and say, oh, you know, I understand what you're going through, but your dean doesn't care, right? Like he wants you to perform. So when you show up, don't come in with all your excuses. Say, hey, listen, I know what I did wrong. I take responsibility for my actions, and this is what I'm doing to make it better. Will you give me a second? I just want to ask you to give me one more chance for me to prove myself right. I'm not going to let you down. But you got to hold on your hand of the bargain, though. You got to really do well to give you that chance. If they say, no, we're done, you're out of the school, then you got to transfer to another school and figure out where they want to put you in and, you know, exactly how long, you know, which pathway they want to put you on. If they want you to go take step one again and then prove yourself. And you know what? It's okay if that's what the problem, but you got to be honest with yourself. Like you can't, you know, you got to cut your losses and move on, right? Like you'd be like, okay, this school, I'm done. Okay, I'm just going to transfer to another school and start. People do it. I've seen so many Caribbean students transfer from one to another. But one thing I would advise you is that whatever you're doing wrong, find it, right? If your basic sciences are weak, work on it. If your clinical science are weak, work on it. Because the only thing that can help you elevate your standards is your knowledge. And when you just can prove to people that you can get the work done, and you're 15, if you have test anxiety, like Dr. Sherry shared with us today, she said she has a lot of test anxiety, right? Work on that and one of the hardest things for us human beings is like being honest with ourselves. Like, I have a problem and I'm going to go look for help to find that problem. I'm glad you're getting tutoring. I'm glad you're doing all these things, right? Work on the things you can work on to make yourself better and then go prove yourself. Is that helpful?
Yeah, no, for sure. Because I could, like, I'm trying to study, but it's hard to find motivation knowing I'm nowhere. I'm like not in any school. You know what I mean?
Well, that's why you want to find out. That's why I say, like, if the school's not going to take you, transfer to another school that will take you, right? Because why are you wasting your time on the school that said they don't want to take you anymore? You're just wasting time, right? Go back, reapply to other schools. Once they take you, you know where you're back on track, and you know whatever they say you got to start, that's where you start, and that's okay, right? Like rather than just holding on to nothing, right? Go work on something that's move on. Don't get stuck because you're like, oh, you know, because at the end of the day, that's what you're going to end up doing. The school says, you know, we don't want you in our school anymore. You know what? That's fine if that's what the final decision is, but at least live with that result and then go work on what else you got to control, because that's the only thing you can do right now. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So basically, don't start studying until I know I have an acceptance somewhere.
Exactly. Like reapply to so many Caribbean schools. Reapply, transfer your credits, see what they take, see where they put you at, and start where you need to be, and don't make the same mistakes you made in the last school.
Got it. Okay, thank you so much.
Absolutely, guys. All right, guys, we're out of time. Thank you so much for coming to the webinar today. I hope it was really, really helpful. We're going to connect tomorrow at 6 o'clock. We have a special guest of honor coming in. And if you haven't signed up, click the link. I put the link in there. And you guys have an amazing week and enjoy your Sunday. Thank you for coming. Have a great one. Take care. Bye-bye.